President Barack Obama's time in the White House is almost up, and I'm not crying one tear. This man had the opportunity to be one of the greatest presidents of all times, and in my opinion, he blew his chance at bat. Yes, we understand that he is the president of all of the people, but how can you stand tall for everyone when you are afraid to face what you really are? I believe that his wife, Michelle Obama, would have had more balls if she were the president than he ever displayed. This is why I would have loved to see a man like Muhammad Ali alive and healthy today in the role of the president. He would have not run away from reality like Barack Obama has. And after all he has stood for, even when it wasn't popular amongst the mainstream, he never tap danced around the issues that were plain for all to see. Obama speaks about his legacy, but really, what legacy is he speaking of? Let's look at the definition of the word legacy first. 1. A gift by will, especially of money or other personal property. Bequest. 2. Something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. As from an ancestor or predecessor, the legacy of ancient Rome. Something handed down from one generation to the next. A retiring company president might leave a legacy of honesty and integrity. Is this man so timid in the presence of the oppressor in the stage of the world that he can't stand up to be proud of who he is? The fact is that he had a white mother and a black father and had nothing to be ashamed of because he didn't create himself or the circumstances of his upbringing. But to try to tiptoe around so-called mainstream America's sickness of racism by being terrified to state who you are proudly doesn't win you a legacy to be proud of. It only ascertains that you've created a track record of punking out when the going got tough. Does your so-called legacy represent people who look like me? Does it empower people who look like me? Is there any signature moment in your so-called legacy that I can draw strength from to embolden me as I deal with the same sickness of racism in my daily blue-collar walk? The answer? You know what it is. No! Real recognizes real, Barack Obama. So as you seek to polish up your so-called legacy, know that in my opinion, it has nothing to do with the black people who believed in you to be the political Muhammad Ali of the present day. Stand tall, walk bold, speak the truth, and never be afraid. Foreign, the other. Those are not the words of a powerful man, but merely a weak placeholder of one who sits in the office of a presidency that's afraid to upset the people who he tries so hard to please. I know tap dancing when I see it, no matter how hard you try to mask it as something else. You ain't fooling me. Black people rode with you through the first term and said to themselves that we know that he can't upset the apple cart the first time around, but we know the brother is going to set the record straight once we vote him in again. And what did you do, Barack? You played us, and you played with us. You gave black people political blue balls because you never delivered on the promise of what you insinuated when you spoke to us in code from those countless historic civil rights era podiums during your first campaign. You ain't no different than that chick that I knew back in the day growing up who invited me over late one night and got me all hot and bothered with her legs and breasts hanging all out of that short, tight dress and made me leave 5 minutes after she finished all of that Chinese food that she asked me to buy for her and bring over. You knew your game all along, and we should have known it when you punked out to that same Hillary Clinton who you begged us to vote for. Remember when she punked you out back in 2008 when she told you to renounce and reject Minister Louis Farrakhan on primetime TV?
Tim, I have to say, I don't see a difference between denouncing and rejecting. There's no formal offer of help from Minister Farrakhan that would involve me rejecting it. But if the word reject, Senator Clinton feels is stronger than the word denounce, then I'm happy to concede the point. And I would reject and denounce.
Good, good.
Okay.
We've got to ask ourselves, what would Muhammad Ali do or say? I'll reject my brother when you reject Margaret Sanger. I'll reject my brother when you renounce Barry Goldwater. I'll get down on my knees right here in front of the whole world and kiss those mustard feet of yours if you can explain them pictures floating around on Facebook of you kissing and hugging that Klansman. But instead, what did he do? He punked out and earned his coon card right there. We should have known. But you know what? If he came clean and turned his back on black people from the beginning, the very beginning, we would have understood what he was all about and handled him accordingly. Barack Obama is like that black person on the job who is terrified to even talk to you once they find out that you say things that make white folks uncomfortable. They get nervous and run when they see you and make sure the slave master's children know that their perspectives are far different from that militant troublemaker. You should have told us, Barack, that you were a punk from the beginning and we wouldn't have looked at you for anything for us. That's your legacy, mister. Then you asked us to vote for that psychopath who would have hammered down the last few nails in the coffin of a sector of the population that she would have ensured went the same way of the dwindling numbers of our Native American sisters and brothers. To selfishly leave your hollow legacy intact. You remind me of that fake friend who only comes around when they need something. How strong could your legacy have been if you begged us to vote for a white woman who would have cut your throat to get into office back in 2008? And for those of you who feel like Donald Trump is the worst thing for black people, let me remind you that he can't do anything to us that hasn't been done before in our journey here on these shores. As a matter of fact, it may be a good thing for us, because maybe we'll finally get some unity and show some love to each other as a people, because now we know that we are truly on our own.
Make sure to check out the boldest blog at LANCESCURV.com and follow SCURV on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube under LANCESCURV.